there's always problems. Guess what? You are the problem.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, tough to admit sometimes, right?
It's a tough pill to swallow, but it has to be done. Until you do that self-work, until you do you can stand in your truth. And you know what? We're not saying be in denial. We're because successful people ask better questions. And so ask yourself, how can I make the situation better? What can I do to be better? And so that's why we want you to have that inspiration. That's why you want to have that why.
Welcome and thank you for listening in to the Grow, Give, Expand podcast. 2 episodes in, and the positive feedback and love for the show has been truly inspiring. To hear from friends who I've known for years and from people who I've never even met who are finding the show both enjoyable and valuable is the exact reason why I started out the show in the first place. So to each and every one of you out there who has reached out with words of encouragement, I sincerely thank you and I am grateful for you. If this is your first time listening to the show, a warm welcome to you as well. On this podcast, you'll hear from a variety of exceptional guests, each of whom has achieved success on their own terms and is continuing to strive to greater and greater heights. By having deep conversations with empowered, engaging, positive guests, it is my goal that you'll come away from the show feeling both filled with inspiration and loaded with actionable knowledge that can be immediately applied to your life. Whether it be mentally, physically, emotionally, financially, or spiritually, by growing yourself first, you will then be greater able to give your gifts, expanding the positive impact you can have in the communities that you are a part of. So, if you find value in this podcast, please subscribe to the show on the listening platform of your liking, leave us a positive review, of course, and do us the ultimate favor and share the show with your friends, family, or anyone you feel will gain from the conversations contained here within. Now, with that all said, let's introduce this episode's guest. When I set out and created a list of names of the people that I wanted to have on this podcast, this man's name was the first one on the list for so many reasons. Alfonso Cuadra is not only an exceptional entrepreneur, he runs 11 companies as the president of the Cuadra Group, which has interests in retail, media, speaking, home improvement, and real estate investing, among others. And now at 42 years young, Alfonso still has that just getting started energy, and it's really inspiring to hear him share his story. Fleeing the war-torn nation of Ecuador as a child, then having to flee Canada, to dropping out of high school and living on the streets, to then running a multi-million-dollar clothing company before the age of 20. His story puts in perspective the struggles that we go through and is proof that you can turn things around if you're willing to take responsibility for your life, look in the mirror and say, I have to change. And while he does manage a portfolio of companies, he identifies one of his top passions and priorities as helping others by giving back the gifts that he's been blessed with. Alfonso empowers those around him to create success by design. He's an inspiring speaker, running real estate investing workshops across North America, changing lives and getting everyday people into action at each workshop he leads. In our conversation, Alfonso explains why he had to change, how he had to take responsibility for his life, and how that decision led him down a much different journey than the one that he was on. We speak at length about mindset and the power of having a strong why, a strong intention that will power you through the tough times. After that, we get into a ton of excellent operational tools as Alfonso shares with us the ways that allow him to be a leader of leaders. From positioning yourself and others to do the things that you and they most enjoy, to moving away from the what's in it for me to the what's in it for them attitude, investing in yourself, creating urgency and goal setting to essentially multiply time, and surrounding yourself with quality people, Alfonso is sure to leave you with some gems that you can immediately apply in your personal life and in your business. Alfonso's the man that I credit with reigniting my fire. I don't know where I'd be at today if I hadn't met this man, but I'm sure glad I did, and I am extremely privileged to have him as a friend and as someone that I look up to. I am incredibly thrilled to share this man's knowledge, his wisdom, and his experience with each and every one of you. Let's grow, give, and expand with this episode's guest, Alfonso Cuadra. Alfonso Cuadra, welcome to the Grow, Give, Expand podcast. How are you doing today?
I'm doing fantastic, my man. Thank you for having me.
Awesome. I'm so excited to have you here. You're kind of the start for me if I want to give you a couple moments of good praise here, because when you and I met, I was in a very different space in life. And since that moment, since that weekend, that workshop, a lot of what you brought to that workshop has really changed who I am. And I'm so thankful for it, man. I'm so grateful for you. You're doing great things in the world. I'm really excited you were able to carve out some time for me.
I love that. That's why I do this, Doug. Change lives. And, in that room, I don't know, might have been 100 people or so attending that workshop. And maybe I didn't touch everybody, but if I can touch some people or someone like you that can make a change and just change their whole life, I mean, what better gift than that, right? And this is what you're doing with this podcast. So congratulations on all your success. Congratulations on the podcast and everything that's coming your way.
Awesome, man. Thank you so much. We're just getting started, right? Just getting started. So where are you calling in from?
I'm still getting started.
That's funny.
I feel like I'm just getting started.
That's funny, man. I actually have that had that as a note here. We'll get into that a little bit later. But yeah, where are you calling in from today? I know you're constantly traveling all over the world. I never know where you're at. So where are you at? Tell me what's going on in your life, man. Right
now, I just came off a retreat. We did a retreat in the Dominican Republic, and I'm just stepping off the plane. A few days ago, obviously, spent the Easter long weekend with my kids here in Ottawa, the nation's capital.
It's warming up there now.
Canada. For those of you that tuning in from other places.
Absolutely. So
there's I do some speaking and a lot of speaking and training in the U.S. And it says when people go to my website, or not my website, rather my Facebook, it says Ottawa. And then there is an Ottawa in the U.S., believe it or not.
Oh, really?
So I always need to clarify it's Canada's capital. But, yeah.
Right on. So for people who don't know you, we want to continue to spread your word and your presence, of course. So why don't you give us kind of like a 1-2 minute intro as to who you are? That might be a little bit difficult because, digging into the weeds here, man, you've got a serious history. So tell us a little bit about who Alfonso Cuadra is.
Well, first and foremost, I feel like I'm a teacher. I'm a leader of leaders. I have 11 companies, and the reason I have 11 companies is because I believe in creating leaders within my organization. And as a result, I've created amazing leaders that can, run the companies, and I get to do what I love. And so what I love to do is travel, change lives, spend time with my kids. I have 2 daughters. One is turning 24 this year. Her name is Talia. The other one is turning 13 in about 20 days or so. And, spend time with the family. You know what I mean? That's number one for me. Take care of my health. I like to write books. I like to inspire people. I don't believe in motivation. People really mistake me for, a motivational speaker. I'm not a motivational speaker because motivation is very short term, and motivation wears out, right? I mean, you can be excited at the event, but I think more than motivation is inspiration. And just like you, Doug, you heard something got you that day or that weekend at one of my workshops, and now you've changed and transformed your whole life. And so that's inspiration. If I would have motivated you, you would have been good for the week, right? You can motivate the football team before they get on the football field, and they will perform that day. What I'm looking for is real life transformation, and that only comes from inspiration. So I like to be that person for people. I'm not going to resonate with everyone, but the people that I do, that I can connect with and move them forward, I think that's my gift. That's my genius.
That's really awesome. Doing the podcast is I'm getting to have conversations with people like you. And it's so cool how across the board, what ends up happening is there's a lot of people who say similar things. And it's just a real, I guess, a confirmation that there are certain things, success leaves clues, right? So I can talk with a guy such as yourself, and, it's not about motivation, it's about inspiration. The last guest I had on, we had a whole 5-minute conversation about motivating versus inspiration. Because like you said, I remember this in the workshop, actually. This is exactly one of the things that really resonated with me was you're going to be so jacked up tomorrow on Monday. Monday, you're here. And Tuesday, you're going to be here. And Wednesday, you're going to be here. Yeah. Thursday, you're back to life. So, what are you going to do?
Thursday, someone says, boo.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh, this stuff doesn't work. Right?
Exactly.
And so the truth is, it works if you do.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It works if you are willing to put in the time, put in the effort, and keep moving forward regardless of seeing any action or regardless of seeing any results right away. I don't know if you know much about bamboo and how it grows, but bamboo on the surface, you see nothing. So if you were to plant bamboo right now, it takes about 7 years to grow underneath the surface. And when you look at the surface results, you would think, wow, this is not working. This bamboo doesn't work, or it's not working, or whatever. We didn't plant it right. And one day, Doug, the little bamboo starts, coming out of the ground, and it takes 7 months for that bamboo to just explode, right? So the question is, how long did it take for that bamboo to grow? Was it 7 months or 7 years in 7 months? Because those 7 years, the grinding, the waking up early, the doing the podcast for free, the speaking for free, the doing this, the doing that, the all the people that said no, all that is part of your journey, right? And nobody sees that. People only look at your results. Even yourself, you look at your results and you say, well, this stuff doesn't work. And so if someone is not inspired or they don't have a reason why, Monday starts Tuesday, Thursday. On Thursday, if they don't see any results right away, they give up because they didn't have inspiration.
There's so many segues off of that. I want to take this to your personal journey too, because I think that's going to really resonate with people. I assume you're an open book. We didn't chat about it before, but
sure.
There are some things, I would like people to know a little bit about your story and your journey is, let's say, the 7 years of the bamboo building under the ground that nobody knows about, that really is a big part of your story. And I think it's a big reason why you're able to connect with so many people on the level that you're able to connect with, as opposed to, say, others, because of the grind, because of everything that you've gone through. You grew up in El Salvador, you immigrated to Canada, and it wasn't easy. It was not easy. And you have a great background. I'd love it if you could share with people what led you to here.
That's part of my story. A long time ago, and we talked about having that why, and I became a father at 17, and I had a why right away. It's almost like a built-in why. And now you don't have to have kids to find purpose, but I found that purpose right away. But your why changes, right? And so my why went from, I wanted to make my daughter proud of me and make my kids proud of my family, to how I was going to use my life in order to inspire others to live their life to their highest capacity. And so I love sharing my story if it helps anybody, because my story is not about me anymore. It's really about what can my story do to move somebody, maybe somebody that is listening right now. They're kind of in a dark place. And I did hit a lot of dark places. Like you said, I'm from El Salvador. I was born in El Salvador in the 70s. And during that time, there was a civil war. As a part of that civil war, my mom was a journalist. She would write about different things that were happening at that time. She was a political prisoner. I had to go in hiding. I mean, I was 2 to 3 years old. Because of some NGOs, they actually freed my mom. I was around 5 years old at the time, and then we came to Canada, and we immigrated into Canada, and it was a big story, huge story. New York Times, Washington Post. It was a huge civil rights story. And actually, our government back home did not want us to share our experience. So they actually sent death squads to find us here in Canada. We were running for our lives. To make a long story short, we had to flee Canada in 83. Yeah, 83 had to flee Canada. And, most people talk about trying to come into Canada, but we had to flee Canada. It wasn't safe for us. We went back to Latin America, and we settled in Nicaragua, which is, is still in Central America, about 2 doors down from where I was born. But another war started in that country. And so between the ages of 2 to about 9 years old, I pretty much spent it running away, hiding from regimes, going from country to country until we actually came and we landed in Vancouver, BC. That's where you are right now, right?
That's where I'm at, yep.
I landed in Vancouver, 1986. I'll never forget it. And so, that's kind of the early years in a nutshell. My issue was the integration into school here because, mixed with, I missed a lot of learning opportunities and I didn't have a regular schooling like everybody else, but I was bored in school. I mean, they didn't really teach anything that I wanted to learn. And I asked my teacher one day, I said, what's a mortgage? And he said, well, a mortgage is something you get when you're older. And so I couldn't get the answers that I was looking for. And so unfortunately, I got so fed up at 15, I ended up dropping out of high school. And because of some conflicts at home, I also left home. Now I'm 15 years old, homeless, a high school dropout, panhandling for change, sleeping on benches, park benches. And I had a lot of dark moments. And so, like I said, my story is not really about me. My story is about everyone else because we've all been in that dark place. We've all been in situations where we said to ourselves, like, listen, why is this happening to me? And it's not so much about what happens to us, it's to what we do about what happens to us. And, I had a life-changing moment at 17 where it changed everything. It was a game changer. I became a father. And when they put this little girl in my arms, I said to myself, you know what? I got to change. I looked at myself in the mirror and said, Alfonso, you have to change, buddy. And I did change. I went back to school. I started a business. I don't know how much time we have here, but the business, that's a whole other journey. But I started selling jeans and T-shirts and mixtapes from my locker in high school at 17. And at 19, I opened a physical location and turned it into a nationwide brand, coast to coast, and fell in love with being an entrepreneur. And I never looked back since. I got into real estate, and that's been my claim to fame, I guess. And now I just want to change lives. I went through a huge transformation, right? And so I went from being a 15-year-old homeless high school dropout, panhandling for change. Probably a lot of the kids that we walk by at some point in, probably in Vancouver, especially. I mean, there's different sides to Vancouver that people don't see, but you see these kids sleeping on the ground or sleeping in a bank, and you say to yourself, this person is lost or gone. What kind of future do they have? And so I was one of those kids. And so I went from being that kid at 15 to running a successful corporation, generating millions of dollars in gross revenue before the age of 20. So what I discovered was that for things to change, I really had to change. I had to change my mindset. I had to change my perspective. I had to find a purpose. And so that fueled me in order to, where I am now. And that's what I want to teach people. You know what? No matter how dark your situation is, no matter where you are in your life right now, you can always get out of any situation. As long as they're not putting dirt on you. That's the only, that's the only time where you can say, you know what, I don't have any other recourse. It's done. Lights are out. But other than that, people say, well, I'm too late. I'm 60. I can't get into real estate because I'm 60, or because I'm too short, or because I'm too tall, or because, my parents said I couldn't do it, or, she doesn't let me do it, or whatever the excuse is. you have to be honest with yourself. They're all excuses. You can definitely pick yourself up no matter where you are. You can be in bankruptcy, whatever it is. You can always pick yourself up and make it happen. And so that's what I've done for myself. That's what I teach others. Transformational change.
Absolutely. And you mentioned something here, and you mentioned it again, and from being in your workshop and being just watching some of your other YouTube videos as well, is this: I have to change. It's on me. Yeah. Not the world, not everybody else. I have to change. It's about taking responsibility.
Right? You have to take over yourself and your circumstances, because you know what? I could blame my country for the war. I could blame all kinds of things. But at the end of the day, those are things that are out of my control. And what can you control is yourself. And so if you're willing to take that responsibility and understand that the common thread in your entire life is always you, right? If you are always in a bad relationship, if things are always happening to you, the common thread is you. And the truth is, and this is the truth, sometimes you got to stand in your truth, but the truth is, no matter where you go, there you are, right?
Mm-hmm.
No matter what,
so true.
You can go across the world and there you are. That's one consistent. No matter where you go, you are going to be the consistent part of your entire life. And so if there's always problems, guess what? You are the problem.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Tough to admit sometimes, right?
It's a tough pill to swallow, but it has to be done. Until you do that self-work, until you do you can stand in your truth. And you know what? We're not saying be in denial. We're because successful people ask better questions. And so ask yourself, how can I make the situation better? What can I do to be better? And so that's why we want you to have that inspiration. That's why you want to have that why, because that why will help you through all the darkness. That why is almost like the light at the end of the tunnel, And so what's that one thing that's going to make you unstoppable is purpose, right? And so that purpose has to be really substantial for you, or else, like we said, you start on the Monday, the Tuesday, the Wednesday, on the Thursday, someone says boo, and you said, oh, this stuff doesn't work, because there's nothing in it for you. It's not strong enough. And so you need to, number one, change yourself. That's number one. You need to understand that you are the problem, right? If there's no problems in your life, then I'm not talking to you, right? I'm only talking to the people that are sitting there and are not happy with their lives. And if you're not happy with your life, it's because you have created that life for yourself.
Mm-hmm. I'm curious about this because, you have your daughter at 17. And so that's when your why changes. But is this like an immediate thing? Did it happen overnight? You're like, Alfonso, I got to change. And then what did you do afterwards that then led you on the path? Because it's not like, you're saying, I'm going to change, and then you knew what it is that you needed to do. I often hear people say, you don't know how little you know until you realize that there's somebody down the street who's really smart. Or you don't realize how good you are at piano until you teach somebody who's never even seen a key. So tell me about how that transpired for you. You've figured out that you need to make a change, but how do I make a change? And what do I need to do to get to this level where I'm feeling a little bit more happy about my life and inspiring and being the father that I want to be for this young child?
Yeah, so that's a good question, because it's true. When I started, I had no personal development education. I didn't read any books. It's not like my daughter was born and I said, oh, this is my why. Yeah. Right. I had no clue on what was happening. All I knew was that my dad left me. That's all I knew. And I didn't want to repeat that. That was embedded in me. I had no clue on what being a father meant. I had no clue on, what it means to, stay up late and, bring your daughter to the hospital if needed, or all those other things that were, completely foreign to me, because I've never had a father. All I know is my mother was my father and my mother, both at the same time. And, now comes this human being, and I didn't really realize until I actually saw her, because people would say, "Oh, there's this baby," and I remember she was in my girlfriend's stomach, and I remember looking, and I remember seeing the baby kick, but it still didn't register for me. Nothing really registered until the nurse walked into the room and she put my daughter in my arms, and I looked at that little girl and I said, "Whoa." Think about it. Everything in life, if you buy a television, like even on shampoo bottles, there's instructions, right? Apply, rinse, and repeat. And they give you this human being without any instructions, right? And so now you have this overwhelming responsibility over this other human being, no longer about you. No longer could I look at anything about myself. It took me out of myself, and now it's all about this human being. Now, I'm not promoting for people to be having kids either, right? I mean, it just happened that I found this child, not knowingly, because that was the question. How did you know that about your wife? I didn't know about having a wife. I just knew that my life was, up until that point, something was wrong with my life. Something was missing. And then that day, I discovered purpose. And so I didn't even know the word purpose. I mean, I just knew that I had to be a father. I didn't have a father. I had to be this father. I had to step up. I had no choice. And so I did the next best thing is like, I got a job, $5 an hour in those days. You don't even know about that.
No,
$5
no, I don't. I started at $9.
Yeah, $5 an hour. And that wasn't going to cut it. And so because I'm looking at this little girl every day, I'm thinking, I gotta not only get educated, but I want to make this little girl proud of me. I got to start a business. And I felt that the business part of it would be, another way to kind of have two jobs. But what I discovered was that in business, you make profit. And with profit, meaning you buy something for X, you sell it for X, you make a profit, right? And so that to me was so fascinating. This idea of profit, that I said, this idea of profit, I could leverage this idea. I don't need to be smart. I don't need to have skills. I mean, I just need to know how to buy something at $2 and sell it for $4. Now we make a $2 profit, right? And so that, in essence, is so simple. But I said, if I can, because I could have just stuck with the job and went to university and had another job or whatever. But I found profit as a result of my daughter being born. I still don't know that that's my why. I found profit, and I decided to pursue profit. And so, and people get so caught up in the thinking about things and creation, and we all buy into this idea of we are creating our lives, which is true. And so these movies come out like The Secret, where they show people that you are creating your environment, you're creating your entire life just by thinking about it. But thinking alone is not enough. The part of the thinking about it, the part of doing the workshop with yourself, doing that goal setting, is to create, to have an understanding of what you want, a vision. But once you have that vision, if you don't do anything, nothing will happen. And so the key is having that vision, but then having inspired actions, because inspired actions is the key. The action part is the key, taking action. So I took action right away. I saw something that worked, and then I said, I'm going to bring it to the next level. And then I kept moving, and I kept moving, and I kept moving, because when my daughter was born, I said to myself, I want this little girl to be proud of me, because where I was headed into, a very dark place. And I said, I want my daughter to say, my dad owns the building, not my dad cleans the building or is incarcerated in the building, because that's where I was headed. That's exactly where I was headed. And so I just exploded, because I was, I wanted to make this little girl proud of me. And so, I went and built this amazing company, leveraged that, into real estate, and they kept on going. And then one day she must have been around 11 years old. And so you can imagine she's turning 24 now, but she was 11. She was with one of her little friends, and I take my kids to my properties. We walk around, and she's walking down a hallway, and she's talking to her friend, and I could overhear them from the back. And she says to her friend, "You know, my dad owns the building." And so at that point, I realized, whoa, that's how powerful a why can be. Right? That why was driven me. I almost had forgotten about that pledge that I made to myself when I was 17, that I was going to make this little girl proud. Right? And so I just went and I just did. And so people get so caught up in the structure of things where, okay, I need to, they listen to the books and they listen to the podcasts and all the shows, and people say, what did you do? Well, I had a vision. I had a why, I had a this, and I had a that. And then they're like, okay, I have to have a vision. I have to have a why. Is this my why? Okay, this is my why. And, it becomes linear, right? And so it becomes too structured. And it's really not that, it's not that complicated. You need to have a bigger vision of yourself. And then if the purpose is, you're going to feel it. Something's going to drive you. It doesn't have to be kids. It could be anything. It could be your negative Uncle Billy Bob told you, you will never do it, Doug. You can't do it. And you said, I'm going to show him. And that's the picture that you have in your mind when you're doing it and you're moving forward. But the key thing is doing it. You have to get out there and do it and make mistakes and keep moving forward. And so that purpose, that why, will help you keep moving forward. But people take it too much like a process. Like, I'm step number 1. I'm in step number 2, step number 3. It needs to be easy flowing. It come from your heart, and action is the key.
Yes, you're hitting on a point there that one of these sayings that sticks in my mind. There's one that's really sticks, and it's the good shit sticks. All right, so that's number 1. Yeah. And one of the good shit that sticked with me was think simultaneously, not sequentially, because I'm very linear, and that was a problem that I had to get over because I've got the engineering background or the brain, and so it's like step. But what you end up realizing is you can get so caught up in the step by step that you'll never actually leave the starting blocks, because it's like, oh, I got to sort out my why, and then I got to build the vision. After I build the vision, I've got to build the vision board, and then I got to post the vision board next to the whiteboard with all the steps that I'm going to take. And it's like, wait a minute, I just spent a week. All I really needed to do was get on the phone, call, let's say, Realestate, call a realtor and say, hey, I'm interested in buying an investment property. Do you know anything? That's often the first step that's going to actually lead to a result that is what you're looking for in the first place. So yeah, I'm totally with you on that one. Can you kind of talk about, after you're starting to build these businesses, and you made a comment there about making mistakes. So you have a big vision and a strong why and a strong purpose. You need that going into building whatever it is that you're going to build, because you're going to make mistakes. You're going to come across both successes and failures. Of course, the labeling of success and failure is however you want to put it, however you actually, integrate that into your mindset. But can you talk about how having a strong why and a strong purpose, when you came up against roadblocks later on, especially when you're in your early 20s building this business, can you tell us about how that strong purpose really pushed you forward? Because if you have that strong purpose, it really helps to make things, put things in perspective.
We're all human, Doug, and we make decisions based on, and we think we're all so unique, but we're really not. We're all kind of wired the same way. There's human engineering that happens, that we all think the same things, and we make decisions based on 2 reasons: either to gain pleasure or to avoid pain. Plain and simple. That's the way we operate, right? It's not that complicated. And so if you don't have a strong enough purpose, and you make a mistake or something happens, you will give up, guaranteed. It's human nature, right? Human nature does not want pain, right? And so this is why I tell people, like, if you like, not everybody can be an entrepreneur, right? It's you know what, you need to understand pain, right? And know that sometimes, and the other thing is, you need to understand when to get off the pot, get off the stove, when it's just too hot, too much pain, right? But that purpose, that why, will keep you moving forward, even though it's painful, right? And so that's the key, because the people that give up, it's not the people that, that someone had a great idea and everything just worked out. I'm sure it's happened, but if you don't come up against pain, roadblocks, mistakes, you never get to learn. And if you don't learn, you can't grow, right? And if you can't grow, you can't be fulfilled. And life is about being fulfilled. And if you can't be fulfilled, then you can't be happy. And if you can't be happy, then why even waste our time? What are we doing here, right? And so you need to almost expect some of those mistakes, but get ready to learn from them, but move forward even though there's pain, right? And learn enough that, you know what, you're not going to stay in a situation like that, when they put a frog in the boiling water, the frog doesn't realize that can just be self-destructive, right? Some people live very much in denial. So there's a difference, right? And it can be almost a point of self-destruction if you don't understand how to move forward despite pain, but not stand in the pain and be in denial. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So that purpose, that why, moves you forward. That's the key to it. I mean, and it has to be something genuine. It can't be just like, that's going to be my why. It has to come. There needs to be a reason. And, whatever it is that you're looking for in life, and by the way, it should be from your perspective, ask yourself, why do I want this? And the first answer will be something generic, because I want to help the world. Yeah, okay, but why? And then, I want to help the world because, I want to make the world a better place. Okay, you're still at the surface level, right? You got to dig deep, because that why is in there somewhere. But why do you want to change the world? Well, because, I didn't have confidence when I was 17. Okay, now we're getting somewhere, right? And so that why, you need to spend time. Every year I take. Every year, 4 times a year, I take time, I go away and just work on my goals, my vision, my why, to make sure I'm on target, and maybe have to, adjust some things. But, how else are you going to keep track? How else are you going to be able to keep moving forward if you don't take the time to keep inventory on yourself?
I've got so much that I want to ask off that. There's a real quick technique that maybe you've done, because we were just talking about, creating the why and about the surface levels. And I went through a little exercise called 7 levels deep. I don't know if you've ever done that, something similar. It's like when you're trying to find out the why or the purpose or the intention, whatever you want to call it, is that first level is, it's the surface, right? It's just what you think other people want to hear. And then the second level is what you think you want to hear. And then the next level,
keep going.
You got to keep going down. And that's why it's really actually key. If you have somebody, whether it's somebody like Alfonso or a coach or a mentor, or even just a really good friend who's going to call you on things and say, you're not there yet. And it's worth paying to have that conversation. I know I have. A fellow who's going to be on the show here, his name's Alan Kahn. I don't know if you've ever heard of him, Alfonso, but I'm super excited to have that podcast with him, and I'm going to forward that one to you, because I think you and him will get along very well. And he was the one who helped me create the intention behind Grow, Give, Expand. And it was a matter of, what does that connect me to? And we had to really drill down. The first start was, I just want to be better. And he's like, well, why do you want to be better? I'm like, because it feels good. I don't know. And then, three layers down, now we're getting to something real. And now I'm having a conversation just like this on a call, and we hit the point. And it's like, okay, did you feel that? Yeah, we felt that. Great. Okay, what's next? And now here I am with the intention behind the podcast, behind everything that I do, of growing myself personally, giving back to people that I know, that I love, that I don't know and want to impact, and expanding that. And that's literally just blowing the roof off the place, personally, professionally, with everybody. And that connects me to a level that's super exciting. So that took time, though. Just like you said, it doesn't happen in a weekend workshop. Well, maybe it can, but it doesn't happen in one sitting. You got to really ask yourself good questions and go deep.
Well, the problem with for example, New Year's resolutions is that there's an illusion of time that people think they have. For example, if you say in 2019 I want to accomplish X, and so what happens is your brain goes into this illusion of a year, right? And so just put yourself in a starting line, and you're going to tell yourself you're going to run a marathon. So what would you do? You would pace yourself, right? Because you're running a marathon. You need to keep your energy, and you need to. It's all about stamina, right? But if you put yourself at the starting line and you're going to run the 100-meter. That's a different mindset, right? It's like, oh, whoa, I'm going to give it all I got because it's only in this 100-meter dash. And so the difference between people that set goals or they do New Year's resolutions, which culturally, I love the fact that we can celebrate a brand new year and it's almost like a clean slate. And so that part of it is good. The issue is this illusion of time, right? And so I've always been someone that is always trying to compress time. How can I do this faster, right? And so I have a New Year's resolution every 3 months. So I look at things I put things into smaller bite-sized pieces. And so I compress the time. So now my year is 3 months long. Right. And so what I need to achieve has to happen within those 3 months. And so you now you're forced to run this 100-meter dash versus this long year. So the illusion of time gets taken away. And I review my goals every quarter as if I'm going into a new year. I even celebrate it like a new year. And then I start fresh, and then I start again. And so you have 1 year. Within 1 year, I have 4 years. It's just like the day that you got to catch a plane at 2 and you only can work from 8 to 12. You will get more done in that day than if you had the whole 24 hours. The 24-hour day gives you an illusion of time that is not realistic. So if you can compress time, if you can have a sense of urgency, like running a 100-meter dash, then you will achieve your goals a lot faster. And if you're not on the right track, if your why is not deep enough, whatever it is, you're doing that work every 3 months. Most people wait a whole year to kind of reevaluate. Okay, good. Well, and then now we're in August. Well, we didn't really get to that. Well, we'll just wait to the New Year's again. We'll just put that item back on the list again. And this is what people do to themselves. And so it's a mixture of having that why and having proper goals and reviewing those goals, making sure you're on track, not every year. I would say daily, do the work daily, review daily, but readjust and recalibrate every 3 months as if it was December 31st.
That's so critical. I can't agree more with you on that. And it was actually something that I wanted to ask you here. So I'm really glad that you jumped into it. It kind of ties into another thing that I'd like you to maybe speak on, because you do have a lot that you do. You're speaking at workshops, you run your businesses, you do real estate. You're in the Dominican Republic recently, flipping homes. I mean, you look at your activity level and some people will go, how the heck does this guy have all the time to do that? So in terms terms of managing, maybe you don't believe in managing time, maybe you believe like I do in managing commitments, but how do you kind of navigate your own schedule and, of course, within those 3-month windows to get the things that you want to get done, stay inspired, stay true to your why, and then keep pushing it to the next level each and every quarter that comes up? How are you managing what you do in order to be most effective?
You asked me a good question, and you said, Alfonso, what? Tell me about yourself. I can't remember how you worded the question, and I said, I'm a leader of leaders. Mm-hmm. And so what does that mean? Well, number one, I need to grow the business, right? But if I'm the only one that can grow the business, then I'm stuck to that business. And so being a leader of leaders is helping people become leaders so they can lead your organization without you having to be there, right? It'll be impossible. I have 11 companies, I have a portfolio in the multi-million-dollar portfolio. I have a speaking business. I speak all across North America. And so if I had to do everything myself, I'm limited to my own time and my own effort and my own energy. And so I need to keep myself in a position where my time is free to create, free to build, because you can't see the picture when you're in the frame. And so what I do is I either bring in people through partnerships or simple. I can hire people, but my main focus is going to be turning that person into a leader, meaning they can operate their division without me. Because if you need me, then you're not the right person, right? So this is the problem. People get into business and they think they need to do everything themselves. Or you hear that word, that sentence, oh, no one can do it as good as me. Bullshit, right? It's, you're just kidding yourself. You are the bottleneck to your business, right? So I've been really fortunate in hiring really great people, surrounding myself around really great people, making sure that I have a process and a system in place that, if I'm no longer here, things can operate as if I was here, right? So I can go to Dominican for 3 weeks, or I can do this for I can go to, travel the world if I wanted to, or I can sit here right now and do a podcast with my buddy Doug, because I know that, what is valuable to you and what you're doing. And it's also valuable to me because this is what I love doing, right? There's no exchange there's no monetary exchange here, but this is what I love doing. I love to inspire, create, grow, helping other people grow. And so how could I be any value to the world if I'm running around trying to manage all of the different aspects of the business? And so the key to success is to finding the people in your life that play at the things that you have to work hard at. Finding the people in your life that play at the things that you have to work hard at. So I'm not a time master by any means, but I know that I can't do all of it myself. So I enlist people that love to manage things. I enlist people that love to, be around all the tenants and partner up with people that want to run some of my shop. I have retail operations. Right now, there's transactions being done in my organization somewhere. Somewhere in the Cuadra group of companies, we have 11 companies. There's money being made. And I am here with you doing this podcast. And so that is called creating leaders within your organization. Because if you just have employees, guess what? Everybody checks out at 5, and guess who gets all the phone calls? It will be you. So you need to position yourself in a way where you can delegate all these other responsibilities so you get to do the things that you love to do and you're good at. And guess what? If you are doing the things that you're good at, if you are living in your genius, if you're living in your place where you can add the most value, you are going to bring even more business into your organization.
Mm-hmm. This is something that I know myself, but a lot of people really struggle with, and having the conversations with real estate investors or people who want to get into business for themselves, they really struggle with this idea of positioning themselves so that they can act within, as my friend Parker would say, within their unique ability. You know, what are they really good at? What do they really love? So for me, I know what my unique abilities are. I'm learning what they are, but a matter of positioning themselves to set themselves up to act within their unique abilities, but giving other people the platforms to act within theirs, so that everybody's working and operating on a level that everybody's happy about and are at their peak. So can you maybe explain how you can position yourself as, like you said, a leader of leaders within your organization, or if you're building one, how do you create that for yourself so that you can then lead others to become leaders? Can you speak on that a little bit further?
Most people, they start asking themselves, what's in it for me? And so if you are holding on to something that, this is mine, and how much do I get, everything in your life will be about you. It's only when you can turn the mindset around and ask yourself, what's in it for them, that everything will change for you. What's in it for your employees? What's in it for your partners? What's in it for the sellers? If we're talking real estate, what's in it for the realtors? What's in it for them? If you can solve their problem, their issues, if you can tap into their whys, your problems, your whys, your dreams, your goals will be automatic, right? And so the problem with the 96% of the people is that everybody's holding on to, this. Like, I built this is mine, it's got my name on it. And so in my organization, the reason why we have a company is, number one, to employ people, and everything that we do in our company needs to add value to the world, right? And that sounds very general, and it sounds like, warm and fuzzy, but that's, almost in a selfish way, I need to discover what people need, right? And so if someone is not happy being an employee, well, how do I make them a partner? What is that person's purpose that is in the organization? Well, they want to have their own business. Well, how about I give them a portion of my business, right? And so people are unwilling to give, and all they want to do is receive. But you can never receive if you're never in a position of helping somebody else. So anybody with any employee that we have, or anybody that we work with, even tenants, like, what is the purpose? What do you want? What are you looking for? Whenever someone calls me with a concern, I said, stop right there. What's the purpose of this call? What are you trying to get out of this? And they'll say their purpose. Okay, what if I gave you that? What would you say? Well, that'd be great. Thank you. And then it stops any bickering, any issue, because I'm always focused on them. I'm always focused on the employees. People talk about customers. I think that people in an organization need to be first, and they will take care of the customers, right? That will be automatic. And then if they take care of the customers, then yours will be automatic. And so how to become a leader of leaders? Well, simply help them become a leader. Give them the personal development. Give them all the tools that they need to be successful. Give them the ability to make a decision without you, right? Some people, they claim to be leaders, but everybody in the organization has to call them to make a decision. Well, then you haven't trained your people correctly. You haven't given them the ability to make a simple decision. If people can't make a decision without you, then you can't go on vacation. You have no freedom. And so that is the number one thing that someone can do, is start thinking outside of themselves. And that already will start to relieve you from time. And so it sounds warm and fuzzy, but it's also in a way to help yourself, because that's the only way you can grow.
Mm-hmm. Can you actually kind of tie that in together? Because I think you hit on it, but I want you to really, really bring it all full circle. You're focusing on them in order to build them into being leaders. But that almost allows you to then focus back on yourself so that you can go and focus again more on other people. It's like this cycle. And I think that kind of ties back into what you were saying earlier about you take this time 4 times a year, you take a trip and you get back and you have some solitude or you mastermind with a group of other like-minded individuals. And that time is the focus on yourself. So I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I think what Alfonso was saying here is that you do have to focus on yourself. It's just a matter of when do you do it and how do you do it so that you can then better be of service to others. Is that about right?
Well, the thing is, there's something to be said about a vision, right? And so the best idea that I could have, it's never the best idea. The best idea that I could have is only when I put my idea in the conference room, and people can contribute to that idea. And now we're tapping into a collective mind. Not only do I do masterminding, but I also do masterminding with the organization as a whole, where people can contribute, add to it. And now it becomes a vision, even though it was my vision, but now I have buy-in from everybody else. And if someone has contributed something to that idea, they now hold that same idea, which maybe I came up with the idea on a beach somewhere, but it wasn't even close to being the amazing idea once everybody had their contribution to it. And now it becomes everybody's idea. And if everybody can buy into it, everybody will perform. Everybody will do what they have to do when they have to do it, no questions asked, because they have bought into that bigger vision. So yes, you got to do the work on yourself, right? You got to come out. It's like when I'm getting biblical, but when Moses went up into the mountains, right, and he came back with the 10 Commandments, right? And so the problem with that was it's written. It's in stone. You can't change it, right? But what I do is I go into my space. I call it my personal workshop, and I create the life that I want for myself, but also the vision that I have for my organization. When I go back and people can contribute and add to it and expand it and make it better, and then now it becomes a really, really, really amazing idea. And I know that people have a say and they have buy-in, and so this is the way you get people to be masters of not only the company themselves. And I continue to grow the organization because I'm focused on my vision, number one, but I'm also focused on how can they be a part of it? How can they be a part of this vision to make it even better? Because if it was just about me, it would just stay with me, because now I'm limited to my own time, which we only have 24 hours. I'm limited to my own efforts. I'm limited to my own, I'm geographically constrained to one location, or, now with technology, we can do things from many different locations. But it would be very difficult for me to unplug if the people that are working with me have not fully bought into the vision.
It's like you've built, I'm going to play on a saying that you love, and that's flying with eagles.
Yes.
You've built your flock of eagles, if that even exists, right?
Well, eagles fly alone, right? But they're all individually self-sustaining.
Yes.
Right. So my eagle family, I know that I have a manager that's taking care of, a division that I know that he's going to check in on me, but not to give me bad news, but he'll send me messages. Hey, we did, 20 grand today or whatever. I've brought in partnerships, amazing partnerships where someone has a skill set, but they didn't have the system, and they can plug into my system and now become even more successful than they ever would on their own. And I get the text, oh, you know what? We sold $50,000 of contracts today or whatever. So either within partnerships or within managerial jobs that someone's going to have within my organization, they're all going to be egos. I'm only going to surround myself around those leaders, those egos in my life. And so that way I can do the things that I love to do. And what I love to do are podcasts and being on stage, writing books, being on television, doing all the things that I know that I'm good at. And that becomes a funnel, right? I am just the biggest funnel for all of my companies, because through that funnel, people come in. And so I'm positioned in the place where I can bring the most value to everybody else.
Can you speak about how you're on a lifelong journey of continuing to learn and continuing to educate yourself, right? So again, I'm going to go back to your quarterly retreats. So what do you do, not only on the quarterly retreat, but in between those 90-day windows, let's call them, where you set aside time to say, I'm going to go to this seminar, I'm going to go to this place, I'm going to read this book. How do you allot your time and your own personal development journey so that you can continue to grow, so you can continue to learn, continue to add nuances to your businesses and add more and more value for yourself, for others, and for, of course, your organization?
Well, I know that I'm going to invest this year about $100,000 just on myself. And what does that mean? It means I'm going to go to conferences. I'm going to take programs and coaching and whatever it is that I need to get to the next level. And I'm going to do that every single year. And the more I've invested in myself in the past, the bigger the returns, the bigger the business became. And it's almost like it goes hand in hand. The better I become as a leader, meaning the more tools that I have, the more information that I have, the more learning that I do, the better I can lead other people in my organization, right? And so this solopreneur thing that some people are buying into is it's very short term. Yes, you can be successful. You can run a couple of Facebook ads and put something on Shopify and make a living and travel and look good on Instagram. But if you want to build an organization, if you really want true wealth, you need to invest in people. But you cannot. How can you invest in people if you don't know what that looks like? And so I definitely. I take the time and train all my people, and I invest and send them to certain seminars and get them into personal development and get all of my people to buy in on books and audio books and all of the stuff that I do as well. Because as long as I'm learning, so can they, right? So it's like, okay, I'll take a workshop, I'll travel, I'll read a book. And that is so important. It's almost key. You got to keep your mind stimulated. You got to keep yourself moving forward. So I'm gonna set aside, and every year is getting to be more and more and more. So this year, I'm probably gonna spend about $100,000 in just personal development for myself, right? And as far as I'm concerned, that's the best money you can ever spend. Next year it'll be more. The following year, and the more successful you become, the more personal development that you need. Because if you're not growing, you're dying, right? Just like a plant, right? I got a plant right here. If this plant is not growing, it's dying, right? And so you need to be consistently growing. That's what brings life fulfillment. That's what brings life fulfillment. We talked about it earlier. I mean, if you're like, where does it come from? Well, it comes from learning and doing, right? This is where people get caught up. They don't do enough. They go and learn too much. That's also a bit of it could be keep people in handcuffs. They're getting ready too much. So you got to learn, apply, learn, apply, learn, apply, learn, apply, learn, apply. Apply. And so the mixture of both is what's going to keep you moving forward.
I got a friend who we were having a conversation the other day, and I was telling him about just some of the journey that I've been on and how I would do that. I would just read every book and then, go to the next program and the next program. And he's like, you're getting fat. You're getting educationally fat. You're getting spiritually fat, is what he told me. And I thought it was so funny because he's 100% right. Exactly. And you're just keeping it all inside. Nobody knows about it. It's not turning into any results for you. Nothing that you can tangibly measure. And at that point, you're
because
just
you haven't done anything.
Yeah. You create the illusion that you've done something. And then when you actually get into action, you're like, oh man, what was I doing? What was I doing there on the starting blocks for so long?
Well, at the end of the day, I think what it is very important that your listeners, because they're listening to this podcast, right? And so you need to have that balance of education, inspiration, and action. Because without action, nothing works, right? And it only works if you are willing to work. So you asked the question, what are some of the strategies that I use in between the 3 months? And so part of the work that I do, every single week, I have this sheet. And so I've narrowed down my goals to about 9 to 10 different categories. And so there's many different things that we want to do, but I narrow it down to 1 in each category. And then every single week I ask myself, what is 1 step that I can take that brings me closer to this 1 goal? What is 1 step? Right. And so we're not focused on the goal because the only way to eat an apple is a bite at a time. And so what happens is we get overwhelmed with the goal, and there's no goal that is too small. In fact, that's the problem with the way people set goals, is their goals are too small. But the problem is they don't know how to break the goal down to bite-sized pieces, actionable steps. So give me an example. I'm going to give you an example. Name me one of your goals.
Right now, I want to do 5 real estate deals by the end of 2019. So I've got 1 that's closing tomorrow, and I've got 4 more to do by the end of the year.
Okay, congratulations. So you want to do 5 real estate deals? Yep. Okay, so the problem is the reason why I know why you say that, because you're very linear, right? And it's almost like you are working within your potential. Right? So you think potentially I can do 5, but why not set it to 10, right? Why not 10?
Haven't thought about it.
Well, this is what I'm saying, because the problem with goals is the biggest issue rather is that the goals are too small, right? Mm-hmm. Everybody has, things that they want, and they have this old saying, SMART goals.
Yeah. Realistic.
One of the words, realistic. Mm-hmm. That's horrible.
Yeah.
Right? What is a realistic? It's a perspective. All you need to do is break the goal down. So if you want to, buy 10 properties, this week, what is the next logical step that you could take to bring you closer to those 10 properties?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, for me,
I'm asking you a question.
Oh, for me personally?
Yeah.
Well, at this point, it would be finding people who are willing to invest. It'd be about finding more capital.
Let's get specific. What's an actionable step that you have? Because that's too general. What's an actionable step that you could take this week?
An actionable step would be going through the spreadsheet of people who are interested in investing, picking up the phone and making a call and saying, hey, I've got this deal I'm working on. Would this be interesting to you?
Okay. And how many calls do you think you can make, this week?
Oh gosh, hundreds.
Yeah. Well, just give me a number.
Let's say 100.
Okay. 100 calls. Okay,
sure.
That means you're hungry. Okay. Is there 100 names there?
I'm going to have to check the list. If I don't have 100 names, I'm going to have to start knocking on doors.
Okay. So one actionable step would be, this week, I'm going to make 100 calls. Mm-hmm. And the next week, you will have another step and another step and another step. And what you need to do is ask yourself each step, does this step bring me closer to what I want to achieve at the end of the year? Now, the problem is sometimes you can get caught up in steps, because there's a momentum that's going to take you. You just need to follow it and get it done. It doesn't have to be on Sunday night at 9 p.m. or whatever, because you might be too busy getting it done, right? I remember I used to go to CAPS, Canadian Association of Professional Speakers, right? And where they teach you how to become a professional speaker. And you learn all about the business, and there's a chapter here in Ottawa. And I remember a long time ago, I took off in my speaking business, and people said, we don't see you at CAPS no more. Well, I'm no longer trying to learn about speaking. I'm actually out there doing it, right? And so sometimes you just got to follow the momentum, follow the action, and those things are like targets. But if you can do more than that, just get it done. There's momentum, there's feeling, just go and do it.
I just wanted to go back, actually, not to change the subject. When you mentioned that you're going to spend $100,000 on personal development this year. Yeah. Yes, that's exactly what I wanted to say, is it's an investment. And this has come up in a previous episode as well with another person, is that may sound like a lot of money to some people. It's all relative, what a lot of money is, number one. Maybe you've never made $100,000 before, or maybe, that's a week for you. I don't know. But, for the people out there who say, that sounds like a lot of money, why would I do that? Again, what Alfonso's saying is the dividend that pays back on your investment in yourself, just as an example, because, the first workshop I ever did was with this man. And we won't get into the dollars of that workshop, but it was far less than $100,000. But I'm telling you, in that weekend, the investment that I made in myself allowed me to say, now I could make $1 million. I could make $10 million. So, what is $1,000 on a weekend? What is $10,000? It's all relative. And if it's going to pay you back in a return that you can measure and is far greater than that, who cares? It's something that you need to do.
You absolutely have to do, right? You can't move forward without investing in yourself. And that's bottom line.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Alfonso,
and the return is infinite.
There you go. Nice. So we're going to wrap up the show here now. I know you have other things that you want to get to today, and I'm really grateful that you were able to take some time to be on here with me. I've got 3 final questions for you. Ask them of everybody that comes on the show. First one is, what are you doing to grow yourself in the next 3, 6, 12 months?
What am I doing to grow myself? Well, one thing that I did realize at this retreat that I just came back from is even though my finances are, rock and roll, my health is not as I thought it was going to be. Well, how do I put that? I'm 42. So for 42, I think I look amazing, but, and I do have a lot of energy, but, you got this, what do they call this little muffin? What is it? Mushroom belly?
The muffin top.
Muffin top. And I didn't have that before, right? I mean, I used to be someone that was very athletic, that would, work out a lot. And so I feel that I need to focus a little bit more on my health. And so I'm going to take extra time to focus on my health, my nutrition. And I want to be able to enjoy my millions way into 100 years old, right? And so people forget about the health component to it. So I'm taking that very seriously. In the next 6 months, I haven't been there yet, but I was at UPW. There's a lot of things that Tony Robbins has that, they've built a machine, and they have business mastery, which I plan to attend if there's time this August. And so that's in my on my agenda, and probably a lot of other things that I can't even think about right now. But yeah.
Awesome. So second question, what are you doing to give your gifts in the world? in the next 6 months?
Mostly what I do is, from stage, of course. And in the next 6 months, I plan to do a lot of these podcasts with a lot of people that have audiences that I can, tap into their audiences. And, part of my gifts is just inspiring people. And so just put myself in places where more people can see and participate in what I'm doing.
Awesome. And lastly here, what are you going to do to expand? I'm talking blow the roof off the place. What is the grand vision here for all of this?
The grand vision for myself, well, my company, so it's Cuadra Group of companies. We have 11 companies underneath my company. So the vision for that, it's a 5-year. I have a 5-year goal, and obviously I've broken it down. We want to do 500 million in the next 5 years, and the portfolio of real estate we're growing it to 7,500 doors.
Amazing.
That's within the next 5 years, and after 7,500, well, probably in the 10-year vision will be 75,000.
Bang. Exponential growth. I like it.
And then lastly, which is probably the most important, is my foundation. It's a Cuadra Youth Foundation. If you can go on Facebook and look for the Cuadra Youth Foundation. And what we're doing is we're bringing financial literacy, we're bringing personal development, business tools, and training to teenagers. And so we're going to be doing our first workshop for teenagers this summer. And what I want to do is expand the vision to, workshops all around the world where teenagers can go and learn about being an entrepreneur, about real estate, financial literacy, sales skills, public speaking skills, everything that they are going to be. We're going to be living in different times. And so I feel that that's how I can contribute. And that's going to be my part of my focus, and it'll be my legacy.
Mm-hmm. That's fantastic, man. I'm really happy to hear you say that, because that's something that really resonates with me. And I hope that everybody who is listening to this does check that out. There are so many things that were gaps. There's so many gaps in school: financial literacy, personal development, sales, speaking, all these things. Just as a moment right now, if there's anything that I can do to help you out with that, I would absolutely be willing to do so.
Yeah, for sure. We're definitely going to be needing volunteers. Mm-hmm. And so, like I said, we're going to be doing the first one here in Ottawa, kind of fine tuning it. And then the vision that I have for the Cuadra Youth Foundation is that it's several different modules. That, for example, if you want to do it in your local area, you could do it. You can run a workshop like that, and I want to make it easy for anybody to take this information and just start teaching, to start creating leaders.
Awesome stuff, man. I'm really happy to hear you say that.
Yeah. So just go to the page on Facebook. We're in the middle of building the website right now. Yeah, go Cuadra Youth Foundation, and you'll see the different types of activity that we have there.
Great. Fantastic stuff. Alfonso Cuadra, I want to thank you once again here for joining me on the Grow, Give, Expand podcast. Such an inspiration to myself. I'm sure you'll be an inspiration to everybody else who gets to listen to this. So thank you again for carving out some time. And I really appreciate you, what you're doing here and what you're doing in the world.
Thank you for having me. And I appreciate you for doing this. This is podcast number what?
This is the 3rd episode. So
wow,
lucky number 3.
Yeah, lucky number 3. And whatever I can do to bring more exposure to you and help your mission, your vision, count me in.
Appreciate that, man. Well, you enjoy the rest of your day, and I'm sure we'll chat again here soon. And therein ends the listen. Thank you once again to Alfonso Cuadra for coming on the show, an incredibly knowledgeable, successful entrepreneur. I hope you were taking notes as the show was going along, but if you weren't, you can always rewind it and have a second listen. There is so much in there that you can learn from, that you can use, that you can apply in your life immediately starting today. An amazing man with such a wealth of experience. I sincerely hope you enjoyed listening and learning from Alfonso as much as I did.
Thank you for watching. We want to know, what do you want to see in the next video? Comment down below, subscribe, hit the bell to be notified the next time we're doing a video, like, dislike, we don't care!